Hi there everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I am super excited to share with you two new AOS frames that are going to be available from today, the AOS UL8 and UL10 Cine frames. In this video I'm going to be taking you through all of the key features of these new frames, what they're designed for and whether they're going to be right for your next build. It's a lot to cover in one video, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's dive right into it. If at any point during this video you decide that you'd like to try an AOS UL8 or UL10 Cine for yourself, then everything you need is down in the video description. There are links to where you can learn more and links to where you can pick up your frame kit today. Both of these frames are DJI O4 compatible and there are links to mounting guides for that system down in the video description as well. Before we dive into looking at the key features of these new frames on the bench, I want to take a moment to tell you what they're for. And fundamentally, these are capable platforms for a new generation of cameras that creators are really excited about. I'm talking about cameras like the Blackmagic Micro G2, the Sony ZVE10 Mark II, and even cameras like the Sony FX3 and FX30. These are all a huge step up from something like a GoPro. They have much larger sensors, much higher image quality. They shoot 4K 60, 10-bit color, and have support for raw output formats that give you more flexibility in post-processing. They also now all fully support Gyroflow, so you can take the gyro data from the camera and the lens and run that through Gyroflow to stabilize the footage in post for super smooth aerial footage. And they're good value. You can pick these up for around $1,000 and they will embarrass much more expensive cameras. And that's the philosophy behind these frames as well. They are simple, they're compact, they're easy to use, and they're good value. You can build one of these out for just a few $100. You can strap one of these new cameras to it and produce footage that will put much more expensive cameras and Cinelifters to shame. So with that said, let's head on over to the bench and have a look at the key features of these new frames. Let's start with the AOS UL8 Cine. And at the front we have an AOS V5 camera cage made of 7075 aluminium, which supports hard mounting any 19mm FPV camera, soft mounting DJI O3, which is what I have here, and also soft mounting DJI O4 with a couple of small 3D printed adapters. And for both O3 and O4, we have support for running with or without ND filters. So if you want to use ND filters on the O4 Pro, that's fully supported by this camera cage. Moving backwards from the FPV camera mount, we have the cinema camera mount. And this has adjustable and lockable up tilt. So all you need to do to adjust it is undo these two thumb screws here, move the sliders forward, and then that frees up the camera mount to move up and down. And once you're set on the up tilt, you can just drop them back and then lock the up tilt in place with the thumb screws. Having a lockable up tilt like this makes sure that the camera up tilt is not going to move if you pull some really hard high G maneuvers and put the camera mount under some load. It's also going to make sure it's nice and rigid and give you the smoothest possible footage. Behind the Cine mount are two hard points for SMA antenna mounting. And one of the problems with mounting long antennas like this on 3D prints is that they tend to vibrate and move around and the mount's flexible, and that allows vibrations from the antenna mount to affect the movement of the quad. The solution is to have a rigid antenna mount on the top plate like this, somewhere close to the center of gravity for the whole quad, and that helps minimize the impact of any movement of the antenna on the movement of the quad and on any of the footage from the Cine camera. Behind the antenna hardpoints, we have two panel mounts for either an XT90 or an XT60 panel mount connector. And this just allows you to easily plug your battery directly into the quad. So just having an XT90 panel mount for the flight pack. And then if you do have any auxiliaries that you need to run, you can run them off an XT60 or an XT30 mounted in this panel mount slot here. There's also captive battery strap slots for your flight pack. So I would typically fly something like this, either a 5200 or maybe a 6000 milliamp hour 6S on a quad like this, or of course you could go up to 8S as well. If we look now at the underside of the frame, you can see I've thrown everything at this to try and minimize the amount of vibration getting through to the flight controller. We have the same truss structure that we had on the UL8. The arms on the UL8 Cine are just a little bit thicker because I'm expecting you're going to be running bigger motors and you might also want to run an X8 configuration, so it's further reinforced. And then we also have the AOS XL vibration isolation technology in the bottom plate here, making sure that the flight controller isn't seeing any of the vibration from the motors. Motor mounting and props are really going to depend on exactly what camera you're looking to fly. So if you're flying a narrow camera like this Blackmagic Micro Studio with a width less than about 100 millimeters, then you're going to be able to use 8-inch props on the top, no problem, you've got plenty of prop clearance. If, however, you're looking to run a wider camera like a ZVE10, then that's going to be slightly offset, and you're going to want to run either 7-inch props on the top to make sure that you have plenty of clearance. Or what I think is a better option for these wider cameras is to actually run the front or even all 4 motors underneath the arm. So if I flip the frame over, you can see that you can easily mount the motor on the underside of the arm, and that is going to give you, as much camera clearance on top as you could possibly want. And I do provide 3D printed legs to lift the quad off the ground so that you can run a sort of downward prop configuration. That's also actually better for propulsive efficiency. You'll gain about 10% in terms of propulsive efficiency by flipping the motors upside down, as well as gaining that extra width on the camera. So here's an example of my UL8 Cine with the ZVE10 in a pusher prop configuration. And you can see that there is loads of space for the camera up top, and you could even run a much larger camera like the Sony FX3 or FX30 and have no issues with clearance. And you can also see how it works with the antennas as well. The antennas stick up nice and high above the camera, so you're going to get good video reception no matter what angle the quad is at. All you need to make this work are some 3D printed legs, and those are available as STL files linked down in the video description. So that's my setup, and this is what I'm using for all of the test flights. So if you're seeing flight footage, this is how the quad is set up for that. Now that we've covered the key features of the UL8 and UL10 Cine on the bench, it's time to look at some flight footage shot with these frames. And if you're interested in learning more about the technical detail behind the vertical truss arm structure and other elements of the design, I'll put a link down in the video description to the launch video for the UL8 and UL10 non-Cine versions of these frames, where I go into that in a lot more detail. If you're looking to pick up a UL8 or UL10 Cine for yourself for the projects that you're working on, then all the links you need are down in the video description. Now to look at some more flight footage.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance. Now's my time and I won't hesitate. Now's our time and we are tempting fate. Now's our time and we won't hesitate. So come on.